This board meeting of the Board of Education for July 13th, 2021 is called to order. For tonight's meeting, any item that will be voted on has been posted on the PPS website under the board and meeting tabs. This meeting is being streamed live on PPS TV Services website and on Channel 28 and will be replayed throughout the next 2 weeks. Please check the district website for replay times. Welcome now to the first meeting of the 21-22 school year. Woo. Yeah! We're excited to be here tonight with our two new board members, Director Hollins and Director Green. I think a round of applause to welcome them. And our 21-22 student rep, Jackson Weinberg, is on his way. He is in a virtual class that ends at 6 p.m. somewhere in the building, but he will be joining us shortly. And tonight, Superintendent Guerrero will be joining us virtually as he is out of town on approved district travel. Superintendent, would you tell us the conference you've been attending?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I have the good fortune of being inspired and reconnecting with colleagues, school board members at the California Black School Educators Institute. So it's been a really wonderful few days of learning and talking about each of our school districts' racial equity efforts in our various districts. So it's been great to exchange and engage in some professional learning. So thank you for indulging me by letting me join remotely this evening. You know, I like perfect attendance.
And what would your fashion advice be to people contemplating wearing a suit in 107-degree weather?
It is hot, Chair. It's very hot, but I gotta always keep it professional and represent my school district professionally.
Thank you. Out of a suit.
Oh, wow. That's going to be Herman. Hey, I dressed down today.
Yes, you did.
I saw your Facebook post coming here, so
Yes,
I changed my attire. Put on a jacket.
We got to step our game up.
Yeah, so as we tell with the new board, we are going to have to step our game up. I have my contribution to the fashion game tonight is my new glasses that are hopefully going to help me not get a migraine from the lights. We'll see how this works as we transition from the digital world. As we start the school year and our new operations year tonight, we begin with our board leadership vote. We'll have several things tonight that are all about organizing for the year, and this is the first one. Board Policy 1.20.010-P provides that the board shall elect one of its members as board chair and one of its members as board vice chair at the first regular meetings in January and July. In May, the board adopted a new process, and thanks to Julia, Director Brim Edwards, Director DePass, and former Director Bailey for helping to craft that, by which the new board members, by a new process for board members to be considered for a leadership position, by which board members and members-elect must notify the current board chair in writing by June 1st if they would like to declare their intent to run for a board leadership position. At the June 12th meeting, Director DePass declared her interest in the position of board chair. So do I have a motion and second to adopt Resolution 6341, election of Director Michelle DePass as board chairperson?
Second.
All right, Director Brim Edwards moves and Director Hollins seconds the adoption of Resolution 6341. Is there any board discussion?
Let's go.
Go ahead, Julia.
Two things. I would first like to thank you, Chair Lowry, for encouraging us to relook at the process and assigning work groups to work on a number of different things, including a potentially different leadership process. So thank you for encouraging us to do that, and also Director DePass for your advocacy that we do that. I'm excited about how it might continue to evolve. So thank you for that. And since we're on the motion, we're speaking to the motion, I'm looking forward to Director DePass's leadership this next year. And this, I guess I'll wait. I'll save my other comments for the end of the meeting. But I know that Director DePass, you will bring new perspectives and ideas to the board leadership, and looking forward to this next year.
Thank you. I'll also speak to the process and wanted to advocate for a different process, a more transparent process in choosing the board leadership. When I brought this idea up, I think a year ago, it was not transparent to me how to become a leader, and I felt like as a board member that was something important for me to know. And so I'm really glad to be in this position. We're getting ready to vote. I hope you'll all vote for me. And I look forward to bringing a different style of leadership and what I understand about leadership to bear in service of our students. Really, I think the process could use a little tweaking still. But this is our test right now, our pressure test of how well the system works. Really hoping that we can consider a pipeline for leadership, so that new incoming board members, as we diversify our board, have the opportunity to be brought up and trained up in the system.
Ms. Bradshaw, is there any public comment? All right, the board will now vote on Resolution 6341, election of Director Michelle DePass as board chairperson. All in favor, please indicate by saying yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
All opposed, please indicate by saying no. Are there any abstentions? Resolution 6341 is approved by a vote of 7-0, with Student Representative Weinberg voting.
Yes.
All right. Welcome, Jackson. We let folks know that you were wrapping up a class as you made your way, and we clapped in appreciation of Director Hollins and Director Green. So we'd like to welcome you with a round of applause to the board meeting tonight. Before we move on to the vote on the position of board vice chair, Director Brim Edwards, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, thank you, Chair Lowry. So earlier this month, or maybe it was last month, I think it was last month, I indicated an interest in leadership as a way to help advance the board's agenda this next year. As Chair Lowry indicated, I was involved in that work group with former Director Bailey. No more of the Scott thing. Confusion. Phew. I gotta exercise that. And along with Director DePass. And one of the focuses of the work was how to expand opportunities for leadership among board members and how to distribute leadership across the board to better leverage all the talents, the relationships, and experiences that all the board members bring to this process, and also to provide new paths for leadership. So bravo to the board for just passing the first test with the last vote. And I'm glad to see the results from that process. And the other part of the new process was to have conversations with other board members. And I had a conversation with Director Hollins, and I asked him if I could say this, so he's not going to be surprised. But he suggested other ways that I could support Chair DePass during the next 6 months, and also to give Director Scott an opportunity to participate in leadership. So I'm appreciative of the new perspectives, and thank you, Director Hollins. I'm sorry it took us 10 miles to get to that perspective. Yeah, there's no short walk. If you want the short walk, you go with Herman. So I'm appreciative of the new perspectives that we're adding to the board, and I'm going to withdraw my name from consideration for the vice chair. Thank you. And I'd be happy to make the motion to move.
Great.
When you're ready.
I will get right there. I'll get right to that. At the June 12th meeting, Director Scott did declare his interest in the position of board vice chair. And do I have a motion and second to adopt Resolution 6342, election of Director Andrew Scott as board vice chairperson?
So moved.
Second.
All right, so Director Brim Edwards moves and Director DePass seconds the adoption of Resolution 6342. Is there any board discussion?
Just looking forward to this leadership team. I think we all agree that you guys have very complementary skills and are the perfect leadership team for us in this moment. So thank you, Andrew, for stepping up and letting us know that you were willing to serve in this role. And we're thrilled to have both of you in a leadership capacity.
And I'm thrilled that I know both of you have made the commitment to have shorter meetings, and so I look forward to that.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, in this moment, a lot of people, there's a lot of questioning about white male leadership and why. But I feel like the two of us together will make a strong team. We're very different people. We have different approaches to things that will strengthen our work, not detract from it. And any fighting we have will be offline and in person. So I'm looking forward to working with you.
Thanks. No, I'm really looking forward to supporting, Chair DePass and the superintendent. There's a lot of work to do this year, and excited to get moving on it.
Ms. Bradshaw, is there any public comment?
No.
Oh, go ahead, Jackson, yeah.
Yeah, so when Julia brought up the confusing Scots thing, actually the DSC last year, we thought you were running for vice chair, so we are totally on board with you this year as well.
Wait, did I get a vote last year that I didn't know?
Yes, you had the
No.
student's endorsement last year and you didn't even know it. So
Yeah, we were totally on board with both of you. We weren't quite sure which one, lost in communication at that point, but I'm super happy to have you on board.
Well, and that
vice
just
chair.
that just reaffirms what Director DePass was saying about the lack of transparency and the confusion. And so I think this new system, although it will continue to be refined, does help better communicate about board leadership. Thank you. All right, the board will now vote on Resolution 6342, election of Director Andrew Scott as board vice chairperson. All in favor, please indicate by saying yes.
Yes.
All opposed, please indicate by saying no. Are there any abstentions? Resolution 6342 is approved by a vote of 7-0 with Student Representative Weinberg voting.
Yes.
Great. All right, welcome and congratulations to both of you. All right, we turn now to student and public comment. Before we begin, I'd like to review our guidelines for comment. The board thanks the community for taking the time to attend this meeting and provide your comments. Public input informs our work and is a vital piece of it, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts, reflections, and concerns. Our responsibility as a board is to actively listen. Our board office may follow up on board-related issues raised during public testimony. And we request that complaints about individual employees be directed to the superintendent's office as a personnel matter. If you have additional materials or items you would like to provide to the board or superintendent, we ask that you email them to publiccomment@pps.net. Please make sure when you begin your comment that you clearly state your name and spell your last name. You will have 3 minutes to speak, and you will hear a sound after 3 minutes, which means that it is time to conclude your comments. Ms. Bradshaw, will we have the lights working tonight for folks as well? Yes. Okay, so the first light will light up, meaning go. The second light will light up, meaning 1 minute left. And then the third light will light up red, meaning it is time, as well as hearing the sound, just for folks. This is the first time I'm chairing a meeting where we have the lights because we've been virtual. So we're all learning. Ms. Bradshaw, who do we have signed up for student or public comment tonight?
We have Stephanie Wyndham and Stephanie Miller.
Okay.
We'll call 2 people up, and then, because there's 2 chairs there, and then we'll have 1 person go, and then the next person will go, and then we have a 3rd person signed up. I'll call them next.
Probably said all of that when I wasn't paying attention, right?
It's okay. We're all learning how to do this again now that we're in public. So are both Stephanies here?
I'm here, yeah.
Great, so we'll have you both come sit up there, and that way there's not as much transition time between each person.
May I ask if we have COVID protocols in place for people that don't know each other, and is there?
I'm vaccinated.
What is,
I mean,
Roseanne,
are we
what's
asking if people are vaccinated? Is what I'm wondering.
No. I'm happy to share more information with the board on our process.
But because we're asking people to sit so close.
That's
Well,
what
do you want,
Liz
I'll
is-
scoot over if you want me to.
Yeah.
it was
So
just a question. It's not trying to
Yeah.
disrupt. I just was curious if we have
I think
protocol
it's a
in
very
place.
good question. So Liz
That's
is
a good
saying that we
question.
do need to make sure we're not requiring people to sit next to each other, right, Liz?
I think each of you should sit where you're comfortably, distance or separated.
I'm
We're here.
okay.
So however you're comfortable, please feel free to exercise that.
And this is one of those pieces where as we come back together and see how the way we used to do things needs to be re-examined, both, like Michelle says, with new leadership, but also in light of the new processes with COVID. So thank you for raising that question. All right. I'll invite you to begin and to say your name and to spell your last name for us.
My name is Stephanie Wyndham. My last name is Windham. I'm here to talk about PTP, the Portland Teachers Program. A little background. In the late 80s, PTP was formed, the result of a lawsuit against the city of Portland for having very few minority teachers. Many excellent teachers came through the program, enriching the ranks of Portland Public Schools and other school districts. I am a proud product of PTP. My cohort was only the second class of the program. Matter of fact, what year was it? I moved here in '89 and I became a teacher in '93, so that's going back some years. The subsequent cohorts included African Americans, Native brothers and sisters, those with family ties to Southeast Asia, and many, many with Latin roots. We supported each other. We did childcare for each other. We did study sessions together. We passed down books because of the cost. We did it all for us to reach the goal of becoming a Portland Public School teacher. For many years, PTP was run, and very well run by Deborah Cochran. When she retired a few years ago, the program did not get funded by the city or the district and was just allowed to disappear. The lawsuit that brought forth PTP didn't disappear, nor did the problem of too few minority teachers. The need for diverse educators continues. In fact, the need for more minority teachers is even greater now than when I began in 1993. I was the first African American teacher hired at Atkinson Elementary in 1993. The program should not have been cut or allowed to disappear. PTP should be resurrected and expanded. Is there anything that the board can do, that the district can do, to help bring that about?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll share also my sister, Paula, and my mother both were graduates of that program.
And your mother.
Well,
your mother wasn't part of the program, but she studied with all of us. Yeah, yes.
That's great.
It's a great program. I don't know why it was allowed to just disappear, but if anything can be done, you can even recruit me. I'll do something. It really needs to be there.
Thank you very much. All right, I'll invite you to move forward to the microphone and to remind you to spell your last name for the record.
I'm Stephanie as well, and my last name's Miller, M-I-L-L-E-R. I wanted to speak today about some of the guidelines for fall and just concerns about masks, social distancing, and restrictions. So I'll just read what I wrote, if that's okay. My family's been part of the PPS community since 2015. My son just graduated from Llewellyn Elementary, and we plan to send him to Selwood Middle School in the fall. However, my daughter, who is to start kindergarten in the fall, will be attending a small private school where families have choice regarding mask usage. I was concerned PPS would mandate masks and social distancing, which could make a child's transition to kindergarten unnecessarily difficult while interfering with building language skills and social connections. Thanks for bearing with me because I get a little nervous. But as parents and teachers, we need to let go of the fear that gripped us in 2020 and build a more resilient community for the sake of our children and their future. I want to highly advise PPS to remove masks or make them optional for students next year. Our children have carried a heavy burden load through this pandemic, and I'm asking that we do not continue to subject them to continual recommendations that affect their social and emotional health. We are at a point in the pandemic where science is showing us that children are not the asymptomatic spreaders that they were made out to be early on. The preponderance of evidence now shows that children are less likely to spread infection even if they are asymptomatic. It's important that our children can return to school with a sense of normalcy. As case rates have gone down and we reach high levels of vaccination statewide, we can allow our children to breathe again. West Linn School Board passed unanimously to approve superintendent's proposal of no masks, no distancing, and no required COVID vaccinations for this coming fall. Let's have the courage to follow other school districts in our state and what other states have been doing this whole time. And as some like to say, let's follow the science. So thank you for listening.
Thank you.
If I wanted to share, I have like links to certain articles and studies.
You can get that to Ms. Powell. And
should I just give one, or should I give?
She can go ahead and make copies
Okay,
for all of us
thank
and
you.
everything. Thank you. Ms. Bradshaw, do we have further public comment?
Yes, we have Dr. Jesse Butler.
No, I don't think he's here. Like, I think he wanted to come, but I don't know if he was able to make it.
Okay, that
Okay.
concludes who we have signed up.
Okay. Okay, thank you. We're, Okay, we are going to go ahead and begin with our. Okay, let's go ahead and allow the 3-minute public testimony.
Okay, good evening. Sorry. My name is Gina Kim Bertram, Kimbertram. I'm just going to read my testimony, and so forgive me if I'm not making all eye contact. I'm a little nervous.
It's totally okay. This is not an easy thing to do, so we appreciate you taking the initiative to do it.
It's important. I'm here, but it is painful. So, New York Magazine headline a few days ago, right here, which I printed a copy of, which reiterate the data finding on kids. The kids are safe. They always have been. A recent study including 19,000 blood donors spanning over 1.5 years shows that prolonged use of face masks by blood donors may lead to intermittent hypoxia and consequent increase in hemoglobin mass. Another article, lockdowns will cause 10 times more harm to human health than COVID-19 itself, says infectious disease experts. In other words, we have imposed more harm on our kids this past year with the lockdown measures that we now know were not warranted. Any prolonging or watered down measure of that via masking or social distancing requirement for any kids in Portland schools will be continuing the damage when surrounding schools like Westland, Wilsonville just unanimously voted to ditch all those. As new data emerges, so should our policies. We know more, and we're confirming what we knew pre-pandemic too. The measures we put in place are not necessary for safe return to school in the fall. We cannot hang on to these measures any longer. They endanger our kids the longer it goes on. Many studies show the consequences of masking for kids now outweigh the benefits. Just as masks are detrimental to kids during sports, as we've seen this spring, so are the two-tier class policy for vaccinated and the unvaccinated kids, particularly in school settings. People should feel comfortable to wait or forego on vaccination without being ostracized or pointed out from their peers in school. We should not accept this. This is dangerous and will cause great psychological harm when our kids have already suffered and sacrificed much this year. When all adults and kids outside of school environment are free to be without masks at their workplace and otherwise, like we all are here, why is the CDC recommending unvaccinated kids, the least at-risk age group, be masked up all school days of the week? We cannot trade in bad policy for all kids with a bad policy for some. It's discriminatory and detrimental to our kids. The rest of the nation have moved forward and is moving forward with sound scientific reasoning, and the good news is the kids are safe, and they've always been. Thank you.
Ms. Bradshaw, I believe that concludes public comment. Thank you. All right, we now turn again to some of those organizing pieces of the new operational year. We begin with our board consent agenda. Board members, if there are any items you would like to pull, we will set those aside for discussion and vote after we vote on the rest of the consent agenda. First of all, Ms. Bradshaw, is there any change to the consent agenda?
No.
Board members, are there any items you would like to pull from the consent agenda? Do I have a motion and second to adopt the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Director Brim-Edwards moves and Director Constam seconds the adoption of the consent agenda. Is there any board discussion on the consent agenda?
Just glad to see again the investments in technology from our recent bond, and that's huge change for the district. So nice to see these big contracts and that work getting underway.
I know that Superintendent Guerrero has been very excited by some of the work happening in the Compton School District and the technology there. So he's coming home with a laundry list of dreams and ways we can even continue to further invest in CTE and in technology with our students. Any further board discussion? Ms. Bradshaw, is there any public comment on the consent agenda?
No.
All right, the board will now vote on resolutions 6343 through, is that correct? I have to 6343 through 6348. No, 6339, it looks like. 6348. Okay. All in favor, please indicate by saying yes.
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 All opposed, please indicate by saying no. Are there any abstentions? The consent agenda is approved by a vote of 7-0 with Student Representative Weinberg unofficially voting.
Yes.
Yes, excellent. Thank you so much, Jackson. I almost said Student Representative Shu, and so I got totally thrown off then. I'm like, that is not the right name.
That is not that man's name.
No. All right, so that concludes.
Director Lowry, or
yes.
Chair Lowry, I'm afraid you're going to gavel down before I have a chance to say something. You seem to be moving that direction.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I have to ask if there's any other business. So this is perfect.
Okay, this is perfect. Because I just wanted to recognize since this is your last meeting as the chair, you were the chair in an incredibly challenging year, and probably the only chair in PPS history who had more virtual appearances and ran more virtual meetings than anyone else. And it's a hard job just in person. And I can't imagine being just by yourself, even though you're virtually with everybody else, having to do the job in an incredibly difficult year. So I just want to recognize your chairship and thank you for the work you did keeping us all together, and nice to finish it out with you having a chance to finish out a meeting in person.
Nice. The last two in person, and it was, as you could see there from with the numbers, it takes a whole board to raise a chair. So I needed everybody's help, and being alone in my office. I think Amy, finished out last year, end of her time as chair, virtual, but it definitely was a very different and unique experience. Is there any
Hopefully
other business?
never to be
I
repeated.
want to also, thank you, Director Brem Edwards, for kicking that off. You get to chair the party committee or celebration committee. I feel like in really private times in my home, I've given appreciation to you in my head, which hasn't helped you out at all. And I apologize for that. But I really do. I was thinking as I was driving here that, you're going to be like, just wait. Like, this is a hard job. So I want to recognize you too and appreciate the work and how you've shown up. I think you've done an excellent job. You've got big shoes to fill.
Thank you. Is there any other business tonight before us?
I can't find the camera off button for
You actually just get up. You are turning into Scott Bailey, and I am not sure how I feel about that. All right, the next meeting, I'm gaveling now. The next meeting of the board will be held on July 27th, and this meeting is adjourned.